Hey there, this is Dirk with DMP Home Inspections, and this is your mentor moment. A big thank you to all of you for tuning in, and thank you to InterNACHI for supporting this podcast and helping us reach other inspectors, entrepreneurs, and small business owners. I'm glad you're all here. Today, we are going to be talking about efficient scheduling and routing. We have with me in the studio is Craig Jones from EVS Inspection, Appraisals, and Rapid Radon Removal. And a little shout out to him. He is actually my old boss, and so it is great to have you here. How you doing, Craig?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. It has been mighty hot here in Florida. So how is it the weather in Minnesota there?
Oh, she's got her swings up and down, 60 to 80.
That's awesome. Don't miss the weather one bit. I feel like it was very tragic one day and then the next day was perfect. So
hmm
anyways, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into the home inspection industry.
Yeah. Parents have been in real estate their whole lives. Mom does mortgages. Dad did home inspections. Moved on to he's a realtor. And I kind of took over the inspection side of it. So, been around it, like you said, my whole life. Yeah.
So would you say like what is your biggest like struggle with home inspections? And I know you do all the routing and all that kind of stuff. And what does the typical day look like for you?
Well, I think most of us know when people are calling us, it's usually when we're not in the office or not in the field. Most of the time, it's either first thing in the morning or, after 4 o'clock. Um, that's kind of the normal day to day. Scheduling just varies, right? I mean, it's one day you get completely slammed with office work, and the next day you're in the field for 3, 4 days straight.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's any different whatever state you're in. But I noticed like when you taught me a lot, I'm going to say that right now, with scheduling and trying to route your inspectors. And at the time, I believe we had five inspectors with your multi inspection firm that I used to work with. And I remember how tight it was sometimes to get from one inspection to the next. How do you navigate that routing?
We're lucky enough for the most of the time we're working in a 30-mile radius. There's always those ones that come in, you know, a million miles away. So it's really nice when you have a bigger team of guys because you can kind of fluctuate their schedules to move multiple things around to get them within that 30-45 minute. Hopefully, I want you guys to get some lunch. But that 30-45 minutes is kind of ideal. Um, the really seeing where they kind of live also plays a part into that and their route home and trying to make it as easy as possible for everyone.
And you typically do two inspections per day still, right?
2 inspections a day. Yep.
Okay. For the some of the inspectors out there today actually do up to three a day. And I can't imagine how tight niched that has to be between inspections and trying to get all the work done. I'd say it was probably one of the biggest challenging parts in planning across, multiple clients and locations every single day. Uh,
Yeah, and the idea of that is great, especially with the market the way it is, a lot of people asking for kind of go and shows, things like that. Those are a really hard thing to plan out because you take an inspector, especially when they're commission based, a 4 hour window, and you put it down to a walk and talk or a short little kind of inspection. Now trying to fill in 2 or 3 of those a day is really hard.
I noticed like the one thing I gotta say is when you're actually got your great inspectors and they're training them in, I noticed like it was very precise on how we did things in the order that we did them, just to really tighten up that time loop too.
Yeah, keep it fast paced. One of our biggest draws, as you know, kind of time sucks, filling up the tubs, running the mechanic or the appliances, things like that we do that some companies don't, and I can see where, it's beneficial not to, and it's beneficial to. Um, but that's something that really you kind of have to multitask, and it's scary, especially when you're filling up a tub. You kind of walk away to do some other things, come back in time, hopefully that the tub isn't overflowing, which luckily we haven't had to deal with.
Yeah, because I left the your company.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, when I mentor other home inspectors, I always tell them good inspectors carry towels. Just because I remember one time you walked in and we were talking and I overflowed the sink because the overflow wasn't working. And, quickly I grabbed towels and there was no, they got a clean floor in the end, but being that precise and trying to understand that. Moving on to technology. Now, there's tools and there's apps that rely uh, right on your plan, and the routes and stuff can communicate with those apps so that you don't have to call your inspectors and tell them, hey, you're going here, 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 right?
Yeah, I mean our daily schedule, through our software is huge. I don't really have to worry about anything other than me putting it in the books and the guys do what they're supposed to do. There's always that little bit of fear. Sometimes I get clients that call me and, hey, where's your guy at? Well, he's running 3 minutes behind, and it's a little panic. Like, did he show up? Did he forget? Did he sleep in? Things like that. But
Yeah.
technology behind it just makes life easy.
What software do you use at the moment?
Horizon.
Horizon. What would you say, like, overall experience with them?
It's one of those things that when you're with somebody, I think you stick with them. I know you made the jump, and it's a scary thing, right? Jumping, and if we did it, I just had a call earlier this week actually on switching software. Guy was trying to sell me on it. I can't do it during the summer. I mean, you know what the reports look like and how long it takes to get no used to that software. I'm sure there's companies out there that have perks here and there, and Horizon probably has its perks, but I've been super happy with them.
Yeah, I've tried actually three other software companies, and same thing. If you're used to a company and they're really treating you well, stay with them. The bottom line is get your customers, if they like it, stay with it. So routing optimization software is really the key of how to get your business really rolling efficiently, I would say,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and I think that comes back to, again, it's not necessarily what we would like to see or what we, for our software. Um, our clients, our agents, they're used to a software, and us making the changes difficult. Now them making the changes, they don't like that either. And I know that's one of the reasons why you kind of were shopping around. In Florida is just a different area. They don't really see Horizon reports ever, so throwing that in the mix was definitely challenging for you, I know, and that's kind of where I'm at on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, it's all good. In the long run, as long as you're satisfied with it and your customers are satisfied with it, that's what I've learned is the benefits of either one, either any software for that matter. I've seen some really really sad looking software to really elaborate ones, and I would say Horizon was probably one of the most elaborate one that I've seen, especially the way we did it. So it was kind
Mhm.
of fun. Given that you're from a different state, do you find that geographic, like with the traffic patterns and scheduling your inspectors out, does that play any role into like how you schedule them, or do you just do a simple block and say, okay, they're going to start at 8 o'clock and they're going to be done by noon or 1, and they should have an hour in between?
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where, and we cover all of Minnesota, as you remember. Brainerd is an hour away, so you get those calls. Usually, it's not when you're dead slow; it's usually when you're really busy. And we hate turning away customers just because the clients are used to us and they like our standards and what we offer. So we try to make it work, such as doing half day blocks, right? If we drive all the way up to Brainerd, there's nothing in the area that we're going to get back to within that hour drive to do a second inspection. So it's usually just a one a day then. The traffic, it's something that we've been lucky, for the last couple of years that a lot of people have been working from home. So traffic sucks, but we don't have too much of it between inspections based on, that's usually people's after their lunch period. Where our first inspection ends at 1 o'clock and we're driving from 1 to 2. So it's that perfect time of day.
Yeah, I've noticed like here in Florida, I have to add an extra 15 minutes. If Google says it's a half hour drive, I add 45 minutes. That way I
Mhm.
got that extra 15 minutes buffer because traffic has definitely played a big role in me being an inspector here versus being Minnesota. I could tell you, okay, it's going to be an extra 5 minutes just because I'm going on 35W or 55 or whatever road
Yeah.
I'm on.
We don't have that off season peak where, or on season peak where a million people flood our state.
No, that is true. And now it's like, winter time here, uh, is busy where there it gets slow, and then vice versa. In the summertime, June is kind of the slower of the months. I seem to be still busy, but hey, that's good. We
That's good.
love to be. So your customers, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, customers' expectation and their communication. Do you give tight time frames, wider ranges when it comes to certain clients that you know that's going to take up extra time?
As far as you're saying, like house size or things like that, I mean, those are the couple things we look at for timing. House size, location. Obviously, like we were talking about, Brainerd location is going to take quite a bit longer to get there, quite a bit longer to get home. Home size, that's something that we have that 4 hour window in the last hour is a walkthrough. So 3 hours in a home is quite a bit. The the bigger homes are usually where we eat up that time, and we're cooking, getting those ones done. The little homes we usually wrap up early, and that just gives us more time to be prepared for that walkthrough, right? Take down notes, maybe double check some things, um, and do the little items that we don't usually include.
Okay, so what do you do a little bit different? I'm gonna kind of go off script here. Uh, what do you do different in your home inspection than you do other inspection? I know, like I mentored well, I had a lot of people shadow me when I was working at EBS, and as far as a mentoring program and stuff, that you guys were just like, hey, come shadow us, see if you like it,
Yeah,
things like
and
that.
yeah, and that's always, if somebody reaches out, wants to shadow, I mean, we're always obviously looking for good people to work with, and if they're just looking to see what we do and go do their own thing, that's something we're more than happy to teach them on kind of what we do and how we separate ourselves. Some of those things that some companies charge for, right? Moisture testing, thermal imaging, we include those. I mean, we're a one-stop shop. The only additional inspections per se are a la carte items are radon testing and then sewer inspections.
Yeah, you've been doing that for quite a few years. I know,
Yeah.
more than 15, right?
Yeah, and that's how I started out. Was I was in high school doing radon runs, right? I mean, kind of a nice little thing to do after school, do a couple radon runs, drop offs, pickups, fill in that spot, and that's kind of where I came into things.
Okay, explain a little bit about that because I think we'll probably do another podcast on radon. But so what exactly do you do? You just grab a machine and just throw it in the house and turn it on and leave? Or is there
Correct.
certain specific stuff that we have to look at or
Well, no, and we do it. No, we drop the machine off, pick it up 2 days later. Now, there's some caveats with that where if it's going to be on a real estate transaction, you're going to put on the lowest level. You don't know if they're going to live in that level. You don't know if they're going to not use that level of it. But we test the lowest level. That's where radon comes from. Um, it's honestly, it's really simple. These machines cost a ton. Real estate transactions are hard because you have such a tight contingency. We got to be in and out of there within 2 days. So the state does have regulations, mandates on licensing here in Minnesota.
so with the scheduling that you do with your home inspectors, and I'm taking it like not every home inspector can drop these off either. They have to be licensed and bonded with you so that way they know exactly how to drop them off, where to put them, and things like that. I know I went to school for it, and it was. It was pretty intense. But it was something easy to do, but it would be hard to schedule around the scheduling. Let's say you have an inspector on Thursday, but you only have a 2-day window. So when do you put it? Before the inspection, but when's the last day for the uh, person to actually get into the house, you know? So I'm guessing
Yeah.
that has something to do with scheduling too.
Yep. Scheduling with that is and trying to mix it with an inspector's schedule. Um, it's tight. It's really, really hard to do. It's something that I mean, as of right now, I'm the only one doing testing because of it. You know, you take a guy off a full job to do one radon test, and then not only is it one job, he has to drop it, and then he has to pick it up at some point. So you try to time it out where hopefully they're doing a inspection on that property. Maybe I dropped it 2 days earlier and they pick it up. You know, that's we've had people in the past when before licensing, that's how we were kind of doing things a little bit here and there. But right now, you know, let them focus on inspections, let me focus on radon.
Okay, so what strategies do you have to reduce the no shows or the late appointments and things like that?
Yeah, so I've only had a handful of those in 10 years of doing this, over 10 years. I've only had a handful. And one of the things that it is such a big bummer because you can only communicate with so many times, right? I mean, text, call, email. We have emails that, you know, we send out right away when we book it. We have emails that follow up 12 hours beforehand, and then again, I think an hour before the inspection walkthrough. So we're kind of bugging them along the process, right? Saying, "Hey, remember that we're here today." The good news is, in you know, we have such a detailed report, right? So if they said, "Oh man, I totally missed it," we tell them, "Hey, we'll send you out this report. We can come back out if you really want. Otherwise, what we would like to do is walk you through over the phone." You know, do answer any questions you have on that inspection. I mean, there's pictures in those things. They're labeled. They have a caustic here. All those good things that make it really, really easy. Plus, a lot of the agents that we work with have been using us for years, and they could read those things just as well as we can.
Okay. We're gonna have to go into more detail about that sometime. So let's get into like your efficiency and profitability. Now, how is improving your routing and your scheduling impact your bottom line?
Yeah. So, as you remember, I think when you were we company vehicle, company gas card. That's things that I mean, it's pennies, it's dollars, whatever, but it adds up at the end of the year. So trying to keep the schedule close, trying to keep the guys, you know, two a day and on top of each other is way better than one every other day really far away, right? You're just using way more fuel. So trying to book when we can, as close as possible, running as many radons as possible at one time. You know, the hard part with that is when you're in a time contingency and people work, fluctuate around their schedule, it really comes down to the client. I mean, hey, I'm willing to lose a couple dollars here and there to keep that client at a preferred time slot.
Gotcha. That was what I was going to ask you too, is the what you've done with customers. So you kind of answered that next question I was going to
Yeah,
ask you. So, um, so are you seeing other home inspectors in your area adopting more tech-driven scheduling approaches, or do you see it kind of like old school pen and paper, pick up the phone kind of thing?
yeah, I think old school's out. Unfortunately or fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, you know, everyone's kind of using some sort of software. And I know there's two up here, two softwares that I see all the time. I mean, every once in a while, I get somebody that's asking me to look over their inspection report, and it's a Word document or it's a piece of paper. Um, it doesn't flow well. I mean, attaching photos somehow, those are photos, making it easy to read for your clients is huge. I mean, putting things in the easiest perspective, layman's terms, on somewhat trying to understand what we're talking about. I mean, me and you know, because we're in this industry. Before this, we didn't know much, and I kind of say that a little funny because before this, I was, you know, under 18, so I didn't know much in general.
Uh, I've seen you grow through the years, buddy.
Yeah.
Um, What is the one piece of advice you'd give to a new home inspector trying to build an efficient schedule?
Yeah, so gosh, I mean, there's so many. I would say, staying on top of your phone is the biggest thing, right? It sucks. Realtors know this. We know this. Anybody in the real estate industry knows this. A missed call is a missed opportunity, but not only that, if you miss, one agent and that guy could have potentially been sending you 10, 12 a month, or he works with a team that's now sending you 20, 30 a month. That's that's huge. So staying on top of your phone, customer service obviously is just it's always every business should have great customer service.
I totally agree with that. There is like call centers, things like that, that also new home inspectors can do, but I do know that it costs money and sometimes it takes money to get that kind of stuff, but sometimes it's worth it and sometimes it's not. And you have to kind of judge, okay, should I be doing this or should I just continue in answering the phone? The way I do things is I have slots in my inspection. So it's normally it's in the morning. I do one inspection per day, and they either get it or they don't, and that's all I run my company. But as soon as that phone rings, like you said, you have to pick it up, and a lot of times I'll say, "Hey, I'm at an inspection. Can I call you back?" Just that alone gives people that opportunity. It gives you that opportunity to get that. And I know a lot of times I had phone calls when I was working at EVS about certain things, and I'm like, I have to call you back because I'm not in front of a computer to look at the report or whatever it was. So if
Yeah.
you could automate one part of the scheduling process, would you be doing the same thing?
Yeah, I'd probably, if there was in I don't know, ever since, last couple of years here, I feel like a lot of people book right online. I don't know if that's just because something that we've or technology's easier or because we have our phones in our hands all the time. That is one thing that's been super beneficial for me. I mean, the booking online right now is probably 70% of it. And that's the best way to do it because you get to pick where you want to go, that you get to pick time and day and what works best for you. And you can also see, hey, what's their schedule look like, right? If we're going to put an offer in on a home, you can go pre-look at exactly what our schedule is going to look like. Can I do a 3 day? Should I do a 5 day? Should I do a 7 day contingency? It allows for that. um, that's probably the biggest thing for me. I mean, like you said, getting the phone calls in the field, especially when we're doing like I'm doing radon mitigation stuff. That's a really hands-on, drilling holes and things, and it's really hands-on. So taking me away from that to schedule something, I can do it. And usually it's a temp book. I take down the information, get it all scheduled, and then finish it up when I get back to the office. But that portion would be nice if I could solely have people just book right online, which I know isn't a thing. But
The world is getting towards more automated things, and I think with technology going into like AI and stuff, I think that's going to be the next big thing. My personal opinion is it's going to record my voice so it sounds exactly like me, and then it's going to answer the phone. But that might
yeah,
be a few years down the line, but it's definitely in the
doable.
process. So, anyways, is there anything you'd like to add on, Craig?
No, I've enjoyed chatting with you on this. I hope that we get some more options to get on here.
Oh, definitely. I think people like to hear, especially when you're with uh, such a great group of guys that you have working for you, and they actually know their stuff. You know your stuff. You've been in this for 20 plus years, if not longer. And I know your dad's a good friend of mine too, and so is your mom, and we've had a great relationship even after I left. And so this is Dirk with DMP Home Inspections, and thank you again, InterNACHI, for supporting this. And we look forward to doing more in the future. Have a blessed and safe time. And by the time you hear this, I should be coming back from my vacation. So, anyways, have a blessed day. Bye.